Justin Baldoni is suing the New York Times over an 87-page complaint full of text messages, and things don't look great for Blake Lively right now. Critics are accusing her team of altering text in the complaint, and the situation keeps escalating with new details emerging. Justin's lawsuit takes center stage, but his lawyer suggests more lawsuits could follow soon. As of now, the focus is on this detailed complaint against the newspaper. Interestingly, Justin isn't the only one going after the outlet. His lawyer, representing Justin and 9 others, is suing for libel, false light, invasion of privacy, promissory fraud, and breach of contract. They're also demanding a jury trial. The complaint claims Blake wasn't keen on suing anyone, especially Justin. Instead, it alleges her primary aim was to protect her public image and avoid further legal troubles. The complaint states her complaint was full of lies and misstatements that would have gotten it dismissed or even penalized. Suing Justin would have conflicted with her real goal, rebuilding her reputation. It accuses Blake of using the legal system to generate attention-grabbing accusations, shifting focus away from her own issues at others' expense. It also highlights Blake's alleged collaboration with the New York Times, which ran her CRD complaint as a headline-grabbing story without sufficient scrutiny. The article, published ahead of schedule, allegedly lacked journalistic integrity and included errors, partial truths, and omissions. Adding complexity to the drama, Blake has filed her own lawsuit against Justin for emotional distress and mental anguish. However, Justin's team remains focused on how the original texts were distorted. The complaint accuses the paper of taking messages out of context to paint a misleading narrative. Specific examples are given, including texts showing Justin's concern about how their actions might appear. In one exchange, Justin says, "How can we say we're not doing this? It looks like we're trying to take her down." His PR manager replies, "They're doing it themselves, and it's obvious." Justin also expressed worry about being accused of planting stories, emphasizing, "What I'm more worried about is that we're planting these stories, which is obviously not true." These examples highlight the battle over narratives and public perception in what's shaping up to be a long legal saga. The complaint also includes full screenshots of a text exchange from the New York Times article published on August 16th, referencing a Daily Mail piece about Blake. In the exchange, one person says, "You really outdid yourself with this piece," to which another replies, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." Justin's lawyer claims this sarcasm was taken out of context, with the tone completely misunderstood. The complaint argues that the upside-down emoji used in the conversation was crucial to understanding its ironic nature, which the Times ignored. This omission, according to Justin's team, misled readers about the actual intent behind the messages. Another key argument in the complaint is that Justin and his team had no intention of damaging Blake's reputation. Screenshots from their crisis management chat show discussions about Blake's promotional struggles happening independently. One message reads, "Come on. We had nothing to do with that." In another, Justin asks, "Is this Perez Hilton video us or not?" And his team replies, "None of us would ever do this." She's blown herself up by her own actions. However, the complaint also acknowledges that some messages from Justin's team are less than ideal. Justin's publicist, Jennifer Abel, mentions they were prepared to defend him if Blake's HR complaints escalated. She clarifies, "No negative press was ever facilitated. No social combat plan. Although we were prepared for it, we didn't have to implement anything because the internet was doing the work for us." Justin's team also accuses Blake's publicist, Leslie Sloan, of spreading false rumors about him, portraying him as a predator. They highlight media coverage of these accusations, including the Times statement that harassment claims against Justin were unsubstantiated. One example involves a story alleging that Justin showed Blake a video of his wife giving birth. Justin's team calls this claim absurd, arguing the video was innocent and taken out of context. The complaint also addresses allegations of unwanted kissing and overly personal discussions during filming. It refutes claims that Blake refused to meet with the intimacy coordinator, insisting these meetings were about making the characters feel authentic, not about inappropriate behavior. Justin's team contends that any issues raised during filming were resolved, pointing out that the movie wrapped up successfully. They argue that the real conflict stemmed from Blake's attempts to take control of the film. Texts from Justin reveal his frustration, such as one saying, "She kicked me out of the film. Now she's doing everything, editing, music, sound effects. I can't be involved anymore. I'll make it through somehow. I just need to process it." The complaint alleges that Blake used her promotional commitments to push for her own cut of the movie, insisting on final editing rights. Justin's team claims they fought to preserve the original vision of the film, highlighting this as a departure from typical industry practices. They even had text exchanges with editors, some of whom were later replaced by Blake's husband's editor. Frustration within the editing crew grew because Blake maintained such tight control over the edits. One editor texted Justin saying, "I just hope you can stomach the cut that's going out," to which Justin replied, "I haven't seen it yet. Can't say." The conversation then shifted to the film's marketing, where blame started falling on Blake. One editor remarked, "If Blake's so set on handling the marketing, then just let her do it." Over time, Justin grew more upset, feeling increasingly excluded from marketing decisions. The original plan was to focus on domestic violence, DV, and its survivors, but Blake appeared to take over and steer the strategy in a different direction. Blake, however, didn't agree with these accusations. She argued that Sony wanted the film marketed in a certain way and even showed a document of talking points suggesting a shift away from the DV angle. Another key moment in the timeline revealed that Justin had hoped a portion of the film's profits would benefit DV survivors. According to the complaint, Wayfarer Studios partnered with Sony to finance and distribute the film, agreeing to donate 1% of the proceeds to DV survivors through the organization No More, something Justin had pushed for since September 2022. Adding to the tension, Justin wasn't invited to the film's premiere. He texted his team, "Long story, but we won't be in the same room. They asked me not to come to the premiere. I'll figure it out." Blake's involvement in the film extended far beyond acting. Around December 31st, 2022, she agreed to play the lead role of Lily Bloom, earning her an executive producer credit, something usually reserved for big-name actors like her. However, Wayfarer had only brought her on as an actor and never intended for her to step into other roles. By May 15th, 2023, when principal photography began, Blake had started taking control of other aspects of the film. While lead actors often have input on their character's appearance, Blake went far beyond this. She effectively sidelined the costume designer, bombarding the team with hundreds of images at all hours and pushing for wardrobe changes that exceeded the budget. At one point, she insisted on wearing $5,000 shoes, which forced Justin to rethink parts of the script. Blake also refused to do fittings at the studio, demanding that everything be sent to her home, which added both time and cost to the production. Her demands exceeded the agreed-upon budget, and she appeared to disregard the hard work that had already gone into pre-production planning. This created significant tension within the studio. Eventually, Justin and the studio conceded, giving Blake full control over her wardrobe, a decision they quickly regretted. On the first day of filming, paparazzi captured unflattering photos of Blake in her self-selected outfits, which caused serious issues with Sony. But the drama didn't stop there. Even though Blake was reportedly uneasy working with Justin, she spent hours in the small editing room. The complaint mentions that Blake's version of the film performed better in a test screening, prompting her to demand its release. Although she claimed she'd step aside if Justin's version did better, her actions reportedly felt more like threats to take control. She allegedly warned that if her demands weren't met, she'd leave the project or refuse to promote it. Adding to the tension was a reported confrontation with Ryan Reynolds. According to the complaint, Blake accused Justin of fat-shaming her, which led to an argument at Blake and Ryan's penthouse. Ryan allegedly lashed out at Justin repeatedly. Following the confrontation, Blake reportedly refused to film a scene she had already rehearsed, threatening to walk away from the production unless her demands were met. As the drama escalated, Blake's demands reportedly grew, even after the industry strike had been resolved. She allegedly pressured Sony, Baldoni, and Wayfarer into granting her greater control over nearly every aspect of production. When filming was set to resume in November 2023, Blake reportedly submitted a 170-point list of conditions she required before returning. While some of these were standard, others seemed aimed at solidifying her control. There was also an incident involving Jamie Heath. Blake later claimed he entered her trailer uninvited while she was topless, but the complaint suggests this was exaggerated. Heath was reportedly invited to the trailer for a meeting, and Blake was breastfeeding at the time. Both Baldoni and Heath left the meeting feeling uneasy about Blake and Ryan's behavior and the extent of Blake's influence over the production. Despite mounting pressure, Wayfarer pushed ahead with production, even as concerns grew that Blake might be manipulating the situation to her advantage. Stephanie Jones, a former publicist for Wayfarer, also became entangled in the dispute between Blake, Justin, and the studio. Although not named in Blake's complaint, Stephanie filed her own lawsuit, alleging she was caught in the middle of a smear campaign. Stephanie claimed Wayfarer fired her for allegedly leaking confidential information to the Daily Mail despite her denial. Some believe she may have played a role in fueling the conflict between Blake and Justin, potentially as revenge for losing her job to Jennifer Abel, who became Justin's publicist. The complaint alleges that Stephanie handed over Jennifer's phone, which contained texts from the PR crisis team after Jennifer replaced her. Somehow, Blake obtained these texts. Although Jennifer stated she wasn't subpoenaed, Blake reportedly acquired the messages through a civil subpoena targeting Stephanie's company, Jones Work, LLC. These documents are expected to emerge during the discovery phase of the case. Speculation surrounds how Blake learned of the texts. Some believe Stephanie, upset over losing her job, may have provided them. While the details remain unclear, it seems someone tipped Blake off. In the end, the situation is a tangle of legal disputes, accusations, and efforts to salvage reputations. The outcome will likely hinge on the unfolding court proceedings. Subscribe to our channel to be the first to hear the next chapter of this story and uncover all the details as they unfold.